Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. With these ancient prayers for peace, and also in the divine presence of Bhagavan Swaminarayan and all the great avatars who have continued to bless our land and the world. Also in the equally divine presence of my Guru Pramukh Swami Maharaj, whom I feel is watching me, my Guru Mahant Swami Maharaj, and all the great saints and sages who have blessed this earth, and someone whom I respect very deeply, Govind Giriji, very deeply, and Venerable Theruji, whom I have met across the world at many different times and places, but also in the most auspicious presence of all the scholars, because I feel that today is a gathering which has not just been made possible by India Foundation and the Gujarat University, but also by the education and the contribution that each one of you have made to this field. And I deeply respect that and feel this is a gathering of great minds and also beautiful souls. Great minds can be scientific, beautiful souls have to be spiritual. The title of this conference, Cosmology in Dharma-Dhamma traditions, itself suggests that there is a point where both science and spirituality stop competing and start completing each other. And this tradition, which has always been a part of our great Hindu faith and also the Buddhist tradition, is being lived or recreated in a different way, in a different dimension through this conference. So I congratulate each one of you for being present here and giving us the opportunity to share our ideas. Just recently, as I was leaving Johannesburg, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but this is something that's come in my heart as I had come. One doctor friend of mine, he asked me that, Swami, but why are you cutting short the program of Johannesburg and going straight to India? Ram Madhavji, who's been a close friend, and obviously one of my other friends, Mitranand Swami, all of you, as I came here, the question that was asked to me, each one of us should ask to ourselves. The doctor told me that, Swami, but why are you going to a conference on cosmology? What does it have to do, any relevance with the world? Don't get affronted. He added that if it was a conference on embryology, it has to do with life. Great. In these times, if it's a conference on virology, it's to do with disease and death. Very important. But cosmology, what relevance does it have to our lives? Well, I wanted to share with him, I could not. But once I meet him again, I will share with him. While we respect every field of knowledge on this earth, and research and studies in any field contributes to the well-being of the world, I personally believe that research and study on cosmology contributes to the wisdom of this world. We can create a good world, but without creating a wise world, what's the point? And it does not just end there. Because when we study the stars up in heaven, out there, it does help us to become better humans down here. When we understand our origins, when we understand our insignificance, when we understand where we came from and where we are going, it will give us a greater opportunity to make the most of our years on this earth. So don't ever feel in your heart that cosmology is not relevant to the daily lives of people. It is. How, you would ask me, would that be? Well, there is a simple difference between science, pure science, and spiritual science. Pure science is studying the world around you, and as scientists began to study the world around them, slowly they started understanding that what really creates the impact in the world around you is the world within you. So after studying cosmology and so many different types, science has slowly started coming to the study of the mind and the heart. Well, the spiritual science is slightly different. We began by studying our mind and our hearts and our soul. And our great rishis and founders, they started studying the stars, the constellations, and the cosmos, and trying to understand how they affected to the mind. So while cosmology comes from the outside to the inside into the study of the soul, spiritual science begins from the inside and guides you on how to study the skies and the stars. And that's perhaps the reason, very simple reason, while we know that all our scriptures, I don't want to repeat anything that the great speaker before me said, but that's why perhaps our scriptures and both Buddhist and Hindu traditions are completely filled with references of cosmology. You look at the Nasadiya Sutra just explained to us now. In just 7 verses, can you ever imagine, in just 7 verses, it talks about what was there, what wasn't there, what came and what came after. And it explains to us one thing, that because there was nothing there, there was an idea. And there was a feeling. From that idea and feeling, the world has come to be. Now more and more scientists are saying that the universe is less and less like a machine and more like a thought. Our Rishi Munis already guided us onto that idea. I don't want to repeat things, but I want to say that our scriptures, be proud of what you're doing. Our scriptures are completely overflowing with such beautiful ideas. In Brihadanakya Upanishad, the conversation between sage Yagnavalkya and Gargi, don't just look at it literally. When Gargi asks Yagnavalkya that the earth is immersed in water, what is water immersed in? He says the air. What is air immersed in? He says space. What is space immersed in? He says Gandharva Loka. What is Gandharva Loka immersed in? He says Aditya Loka. What is Aditya Loka immersed in? He says Chandra Loka. In that way, he goes in making it finer and finer and finer till he arrives to the idea of Brahma Loka. Just because science is not used to the terminology of Gandharva Loka, Aditya Loka, just because the terminologies are different, try and understand thousands of years ago, when Hindu sadhus could discuss in open public, the finer elements of the world, as you discuss stock prices, as we discuss medicines, as we discuss news, Look at the enlightened society that they could discuss finer and finer elements of the universe in casual conversations. Does not that tell us that we should to look into our scriptures more and more to find more and more that science can be satisfied? But it doesn't end there. I want to also tell you that whenever you are confused, whenever we are confused and we are filled with doubts, after the Gita, when Arjuna was still confused in the moral laws of life, one thing Lord Krishna did to show him the Vishwaswarup. Lord Krishna showed him the planets, the orbits, the galaxies, the multiple universes within himself. And that's why it says Arjuna's doubts were dispelled and dissolved. Does it not tell us that if you study cosmology, in one way you will make better human beings? So I want to tell you, the research and the work that you are doing is not just theoretical. It helps us create better human beings on this earth. And when we understand that, we will be able to find different planes. Kathopanishad talks about Nachiketa. And we simply take it as a story that he goes to the doors of the god of death, Yamaraj. But can you imagine that this little boy had the power of his mind, whether you call it transcendence, the ability to travel through loks, that means different realms, and then knock on the doors of death before death called. Don't you think this is interesting in a way of traveling through different realms and galaxies or places? I don't know. We need to go back into the scriptures and try and understand them in a more scientific way, not just use the rulers of science and judge our scriptures. I think when we understand that, we will be able to understand what cosmology does. A real scientist who is just a pure cosmologist, he will definitely return to Dharma and Dhamma. And a real spiritual person who is an expert in Dharma and Dhamma will easily be able to grasp the beautiful science of cosmology. They are inseparable. Let me take you through a generation quickly. That there are people who are atheists. There were people who are theists and people who are agnostic. And yet when they just looked at the stars, don't undermine and undervalue of what you're doing. Immanuel Kant, the famous German philosopher, who tried to reduce everything in this world to just sensibility and reason. In a book called The Critic of Pure Reason, Immanuel Kant, he writes a 600-page book that systematically denies the need and necessity of God or spirituality. And then casually he speaks that all this, after I've written it, while I'm sitting in my garden, my attendant brings me a cup of coffee, and I'm drinking that coffee in a late evening and night. And when I look at the stars, I suddenly feel that there must be a higher consciousness. He writes that two things keep increasingly me in admiration and awe: the starry skies and the moral laws within me. And when I connect the two, I immediately find the consciousness of my existence. Without connecting cosmology and Dharma and Dhamma, you will not be able to satisfactorily answer why you are. It's a very critical connection. And it just doesn't end there. He just gazed at the stars without any research. We have people who have worked on the laws of motion. Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton says that gravity can explain why planets are in motion. But nothing can explain why motion is in motion. For that, we need to understand that there is a divine force. And he writes, God governs all the laws of the universe. God knows all, and God knows what is to be done. When a person who sees the skies feels morality and existence, when a scientist who studies motion feels that there has to be some creator, but when a person who adds another dimension to our understanding, Albert Einstein, he came forth and added the fourth dimension, the space-time continuum. And Albert Einstein did not believe in God as a conventional God as we believe or religious people believe in. I need to really ask you, Einstein himself says that God does not play dice. He does not gamble. He supported this idea of an intelligent creation. He could not identify God because they were beyond his senses. But then he also writes, quote unquote, everyone seriously involved in the pursuit of science becomes convinced of a spirit manifest in the laws of the universe, a spirit which is vastly superior to that of man, and in the face of which we are humbled. Imagine a person who did not accept God as we accept, but still feel that the laws of cosmos were not accidental. They were created for some reason, where somebody says we don't know the creation and the reason. But we must understand that as we move, we find out that cosmology can help person to become a better person. How? I don't want to add anything to you because there's no point in preaching to the pundits. You already know more than me. There's no point in singing to the choir. You already sing better than me. But I want to encourage you that whatever you do as a keynote speaker, never underestimate what you do. There are 4 things I want to share very quickly, which your research should come up with. 1, it's not just enough in trying to bring a balance to science and spirituality. Number 1, the study of cosmology makes us smaller than small. The vastness of the universe. While the earth is a pale blue dot, just as Carl Sagan put it beautifully, that from the far expanse of space, earth is a pale blue dot. All our emperors and conquerors, all our kings and leaders, all our great people and saints and sinners, all our loved ones exist in that small dot, which is not even seen from the furthest part of the galaxies. It just makes us a little more humble, insignificant in the vastness of space. And I ask you, who can deny the fact that the earth needs a little bit of more humility and less of arrogance? While our leaders are going to war just for a drop of a pin, while there is aggression and arrogance, would not real cosmology help the world to become a more humble world? Your work is necessary. Make it more humble. The second is, the study of cosmology will make you bigger than the big. Why, you might ask me? Science tells us there is this idea of stellar nuclear synthesis. That when the stars collided, galaxies collided, there is supernova explosions. Carbon, hydrogen and nitrogen, which are the elements that make our earth and make us, all were created in these collision of stars. So it makes us feel that what the stars are made of, we are made of the same elements. We are connected. And that is why perhaps Shvetaswara Upanishad, they say, Amrutasya putraha vayam. Translate it as we are the children of gods, fine. We are the children of immortals, fine. But we always say gods are on the stars. We can always say we are the children of the stars. We are literally made of the same material that our stars have been made of. That makes us interconnected, that makes us less lonely, that makes us bigger than the big, and that makes us less fearful. If you think that all the aliens outside in the world would be of the same material that you and me are made of, I don't think we need to fear aliens. We need to fear ourselves more than the aliens. I think, as the Govind Giriji put it forward, that we are the extensions of our purity and our impurity, then if we are pure, I think all life exists out there will always be friendly to human beings if we are pure. So the second thing it teaches us is bigger than the big. The third thing study of cosmology will teach us, even you, me and everybody, is interconnectedness. But more than interconnectedness is interdependent. We are interdependent. The iron that flows through our blood, that absorbs oxygen and keeps our cells alive right now, was created in the stars. So if the stars have helped us breathe, if the sun helps us shine and warms, if the moon manages our moods and the waves of our ocean, of course, the microscopic plankton and the chlorophyll, everything is interconnected and interdependent. When we feel that we are interdependent to everybody else for our existence, it makes us more compassionate. Now tell me, the answer to climate change, yes, conferences are important, agreements are important, but the answer to climate change is change of our lifestyle and change of our attitude. When we are compassionate to nature, to air, to water, to everything around us, to our planets, we will be able to find solutions to the problems of the world. And lastly, as I leave you, I want to tell you that there can be the next step. I have no proof for this, but that's what the conference is all about. I have no reference for this. But I want to ask you, the conference will help you rediscover our past and deep discover our future. Science only talks about the future, it relegates the past. I want to tell you, you are spiritual-minded people, rediscover our past and deep discover our future. What do I mean? 50 years ago, would any of us would have believed there would be a digital revolution where everything would be digitized, everything we speak, see would be digitized? No. Would you have believed that there would be a virtual revolution, that virtual reality will become more real than real? Can you still believe that everything we do is stored in clouds, somewhere which is not physical, three-dimensional? Can you still believe? And now we are sitting on the cusp of AI, artificial intelligence. And I want to tell you, because I went to one of the biggest conferences on AI in Azerbaijan, and they say, you shall be able to download your dreams. That means you shall be able to induce dreams. There'll be a time where non-living artificial intelligence, simple calculations, algorithms, which are dead and non-living, will be able to control the living. Till now, the living have controlled machines. We have tilled the land. The living had called all the shots. Now the non-living will create and call all the shots. But come back to Govind Giriji. In the living and the non-living, the Spirit of God is there. Isa vasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. There will be no time or space to fear. But I want to say that if one can believe in digital, in artificial intelligence, in clouds, in virtual, I think the next great step would be astral. Let it sink. Astral communication, where a mind can communicate with a mind without the need of any technology. Our rishis had mastered it. Astral communication, when you can communicate with the planets, with the moon, without carbon fuel increasing the carbon footprint. Astral communication will give you the power to move in time, just as we move in space front, back, left and right. You'll be able to move in time, in births and things like that. All this was mentioned in our scriptures, it still is. We believe in artificial intelligence, science and spirituality. If it unites, we will rediscover our past and deep discover our future. Why? Because we are capable. And in this conference, as all of you great scholars and great minds come together, please do not compete with each other, help complete one another. And what do I mean by that? Stop seeking solutions, learn to ask the right questions. If you ask the right questions, as the Nasadiya Sutra did, as Yagnavalkya did, as Bhagavan Swaminarayan did in the Vachanamrut, as Arjun does in the Gita, the basis of your questions will lead to solutions. Einstein often said, if I had a problem and my life hung upon it and I had only 1 hour to solve it, I will spend 55 minutes in asking the right questions. The answers will emerge in the last 5. Ask the right questions and do not hesitate to ask. Question yourself, question your theories, because the real experience of space helps you answer that. Eugene Cernan, the astronaut, who went to the moon in Apollo 10, he says, when I went to the moon and turned back and looked at the earth, my God, I felt all the beauty, all its majesty. I saw the earth hanging and spinning on its axis without falling through. That's the time I felt that there must be a creator and God. I doubted my theory, so when I went back again in Apollo 17, and when I tested my own theory, it became loud and clear that anybody who physically goes to the moon will definitely believe in God. It is like sitting in God's front porch and looking back at home, because the experience of space and cosmology is such. If you ask the right questions, you'll come there. My Guru Pramukh Swami always asks these 5 questions of cosmology. I'll leave you with that, and perhaps it might make our earth a little better. What nationality is the sun? Is it Russian, American, Indian, British? The sun is beyond a nation. It is there for those who want light. What religion does water belong to? Is it Christian, Muslim, Judaism, Buddhist? Water is beyond religion. It is there for those who want to drink. What color is air? Black, brown, yellow? Yellow is beyond race. Air is beyond race. It is there for those who want to breathe. What class does earth belong to? Higher, lower, middle? Earth is there for those who want to stand erect and walk proudly beyond class. And what race does space belong to? Just because we are exploring it, it belongs to us. The Devatas, the great Lokas, are already there beyond us. But just as all the 5 elements, earth, water, space, fire and air, are universal, owned by nobody and enjoyed by everybody, so is the Creator universal. If the universe is in such harmony, I think cosmology will teach us to live on this earth with greater harmony. So that's my answer to my friend doctor in Johannesburg. I hope you're listening, that cosmology is one science that is more relevant than perhaps all the science to make us humble and also less lonely. Thank you very much.